Okay, now we will do the completion. We will complete the last Seedling Sutra. We will finish this. Okay, we're on page 75. Okay, now we have the last paragraph, which is Venerable Shariputra. Whosoever sees this perfect wisdom, this dependent arising perfectly, taught by the Bhagavan. So now it's more the conclusion. Arya Nagarjuna is telling Shariputra that whosoever sees dependent origination, the way explained thus far, this person, dependent arising, perfectly taught by the Bhagavan, as it actually is, the way it is, as always and forever, without life force, devoid of life force, true, and the true meaning, this is a fact. And unmistaken meaning, this fact, how you know this? Through unmistaken means, the means with which to understand this truth. And this means is unmistaken. Then unborn meaning, in this dependent origination, you should see things as the objectively unborn. Unborn, not erasing. Not erasing meaning, say in the past, today is unborn, but maybe in the past, maybe it was born. Okay, today, for example, we speak about, what is that? Telegraph. How many you telegraph? You don't know? Okay,
telegraph is that little message you send to take some.
Telegram, telegram. Okay, yes, telegram. How many you know telegram? How many you have sent telegram? How many you have sent telegram? Jack, no? I see, interesting. Smita, no? Okay, you know telegram, you know that. Okay. So telegram, it once happened, now it's no more there. Right? It once happened, now no more there. Likewise, I say not a reason meaning that, okay, say once it was there, and now today the objective arising is not there. Right? Object not there. Once it was there, no, it was not like that. Not a reason meaning, not even at the past is not, in the past it was not a reason. Uncreated. So this dependent origination, it is not, say, the created by some agent. No, it was the law. It's not created. Uncompounded, meaning that the dependent origination is compounded by factors, with factors. Depends on these factors, then things originate. But uncompounded meaning that there's no, what some of the philosophers talk about, the particles, then the time, objective system time, objective system particles, they compound the dependent origin. No, not like that, uncompounded. Okay. Okay, unobstructed. Well, unobstructed meaning that the dependent origination, but this what we see is that it is not confined, this was already explained earlier. It's not confined to few things. For example, let's say the traffic rule that we should drive on the left lane. This is applicable in India, not in America, right? So this is applicable only to in India, not in America, not in other places. In some places Europe, some places yes. Okay, but dependent origination is not obstructed because of the borders, because of things. It's applicable to all phenomena, not obstructed. Okay, imperceptible meaning the mind which sees, the mind which is addicted to seeing things objectively real. Such mind will never see this, the fine dependent origination. It's not perceptible by the mind which views things as objectively real, which view things as solid and fine. And tranquil. if you see the dependent notion well, your mind, the mental disturbance will all calm down. You will experience the tranquility. And the fearless. Some people when they see, when you say that nothing is objectively, therefore fear. They're saying that I'm also not there. So this, instead of this dependent origination to create fear, this is to dissolve the fear. Because the real fear is grounded on the belief that things are objectively real. By seeing dependent origination, the ground for the fear will be dissolved, so the fear will be released. So it is a fearless in nature. Then the incontrovertible, meaning which cannot be influenced. Let's say, once you understand dependent origination, that universe is operating, whatever is dependent origination, no one can actually influence you to believe the opposite. Incontrovertible. Okay. Inexhaustible. Inexhaustible meaning that that dependent origination is something which operates at all times, will not be exhausted. And by nature, never still. Okay, this we already explained it. While we look for stillness of the mind. We look for the stillness of the mind, but objectively there's nothing there. Even the Buddha is also not objectively real. Stillness is also not objectively real. So emptiness of the emptiness of the Tathagata. Whoever fully truly sees it as unreal. So through this understanding of dependent origination, then when you see things as unreal, not objectively real, and these are all the forms of the disorganification of things. Unreal, vain, hollow, and then unsubstantial, which means that it is no essence inside. As a sickness. Sickness meaning that seeing the dependent origination, then you see the samsara as sickness. You see, we see, by seeing dependent origination, in fact this is how many have this? Say, what we see as very attractive, very nice, and some practitioners, what the mundane people see as nice, for them this is so what would be a source of repulsion. Do you think that it will happen? What is seen is so nice, oh the flower is so nice, the weather is so nice, and for some people they are seen as so repulsive. Do you think, can you imagine that things can happen like this? Can you give me some examples? Real life examples?
Like, I can feel that the weather is very nice and it's warm.
Yes.
But somebody could feel it's too hot and sweaty and it's not nice.
So they want 16 degrees centigrade?
Yeah, they want it to be cooler.
So they will see the 16 degrees centigrade is very pleasant. What I'm saying is that what we ordinary beings see as so pleasant, nice. So what is pleasant, nice? Some people may say that 30 degrees is pleasant, nice. Some people may say that 20 degrees centigrade is pleasant, nice. What is here is like 22, very pleasant. And some would say that, no, it's very hot, coming from the Arctic Circle, it's very hot, I want 11 degrees centigrade, that's very pleasant. Okay, but same person otherwise should be seeing things as pleasant, now starts to see things very unpleasant. Can you imagine? Can you give some real examples?
If they suffer on account of it, right?
Say it again.
If they start to suffer because of it, like you like some particular flower but you're very allergic, you don't able to do things.
Okay, then from
In
distance you
Bangalore,
can...
people complain when it gets like this that people are getting cough and cold and weather's bad and people start wearing monkey caps and all that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Someone who loves to eat when they have jaundice,
Ah.
then food makes them terribly nauseous.
Okay, like this example. Say otherwise the food, not only food, what? What is the specialty of Bangalore? Bangalore food?
Bisi bere baat.
Bisi bere baat. What is that like? But you never gave it to me. I been coming to Jerusalem for quite some time. I never know what it is.
We'll take two days.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's say you love one particular food. The moment somebody says this word, it simply lifts you up. Right? Okay. And then, for some reasons, whatever factor, the same word is uttered, you feel nauseous. Like meningitis. Okay, this is very important. And not only that, this can be created, this sense can be created through many ways. One, physiologically, if you are having some problems, then this can create this, the mental mindset can be created. Another would be through reflecting, so oftentimes reflecting more and more, then these thoughts will be created. You feel obnoxious of what you see around, otherwise which you consider would be very attractive, very nice. Okay. One of my friends, he lost his mother. And he lost his mother, and he was so loving towards his mother. He was already in his 50s. And then his mother passed away in his own, with the mother's head in his own laps. You could see that the mother just breathed the last in his laps. They had a funeral, cremation, in the pyre. Then he lost a sense of meaning of life. He was already in his 50s because of tremendous love towards the mother. When the mother passed away, then seeing all these stages, like seeing that she breathed the last, then they on the pyre, then turned into ash. Then he lost total sense of loss, the loss of meaning of his life. And he said that I don't know, that I'm doing something, I'm on board with my Buddhist movie, I'm just living like a zombie. I don't see any, in fact he said that I feel so disoriented nowadays because I don't see any meaning in what I'm doing. Okay, then he said one thing, then whenever I see people walking, with nice dress, whatever, people walking, he would see that just a bunch of ash walking. Literally, he would see that. He says there's no meaning at all. What we see as, the festivities and the celebrations, just totally hollow, is what he said. That is what I'm feeling, he said. Okay. In case, so if this is coming simply because of seeing the mother gone through this, it can take the person into deep depression, number one. If the person has some or profound learning of the Dharma, renunciation and so forth, this is a great blessing. This experience is a great blessing. You can then relate this to what the Shravakas, Arahats, Bodhisattvas, their thoughts are. So even when they, without external specific conditions, they could view the whole world like this, the way this gentleman was seen. So meaningless. So you have to look for something meaningful. That will take us to the understanding of the real renunciation. Okay, so this is the explanation here. Unsubstantial, as a sickness, a boil, a thorn, as miserable, impermanent, painful, empty, and selfless. Such a person does not reflect on the past thinking. Okay, once we understand dependent origin so well, the way explained by Arya Nagarjuna in the upper lines, as a clarification explanation of the teaching taught by the Buddha, that whosoever sees dependent origination will see the Dharma. Whosoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha. Meaning that seeing dependent origination so well, then you will see the value of the Eightfold Noble Paths. Eightfold Noble Paths and the Four Attainments. Then the person will go through this journey. Going through this journey will reach a level where you remove all the metal stains. That is the Buddhahood. This is how one progresses with understanding of the deeper understanding of dependent origination, the way taught by the Buddha. Okay. So such a person will not have a confusion. Will not have a confusion. Confusion like what? Confusion like such a person does not reflect on the past, page 75, the last line. Such a person does not reflect on the past, thinking, did I exist in the past or not? What was I in the past? So all these reflections are the signs of the indecision, signs of confusion, believing in objective self. What was this objective I, Dorji, in the past life? Whether girl, boy, suffering, happy, human, the human, or the Deva, Devi, or the helping, what? These are all the confusion on the basis of the ignorance, believing the self to be objectively real. How was I in the past? Nor does a such person reflect on the future, thinking, will I exist in the future or not? What will I be in the future? How will I be in the future? Nor does such a person reflect on the present, thinking, what is this? How is this? Being what? What will we become? Where does this being come from? This being today. Today's person came from where? Where will this person go when transmigrating from here and death? If you understand dependent origination so well, we realize that objectively nothing is really there. Things operate simply on the basis of the dependent origination on mere level of the appearance. Okay. Then whichever dogma mendicants and the Brahmins hold throughout the world, dogma is referring to the belief that things are objectively real. This is one thing which is common to all the traditions except the teaching taught by the Buddha. Believing that things exist objectively. Believing that the self exists objectively. Except for Charvakas. Charvaka also believe in that. Charvaka doesn't believe in the self. Solid self came from the past. Solid self going to the past, in the future. These Charvakas don't believe in the past and future life. But this life, this self is objectively real. This is what he believes. And then there's one system, solipsism. There's one tradition, solipsism. That philosophy, what we are seeing is just illusion. Nothing exists. This is solipsism. That is the philosophy which is one thing, who does not accept in objective existence of self. And the Buddha does not believe in the objective existence of self. These two. Otherwise, the rest of the philosophical schools, they believe in objective existence. Now, the difference between the solipsist and the Buddha is that the Buddha accepts the self. The solipsist not only rejecting the objective self, does not believe in the self also. Nothing exists. But the Buddha accepts the self. And many people say that in Buddhism there is no self, because selflessness, anatta. Anatta means no self. So Buddha doesn't believe in self. This many people believe, many people think, and even the professors, they think like this. This is wrong. Let us not forget the two lines, two questions. What are the two questions?
Do things exist?
Okay, for this we have to check with yourself. What are the two questions?
Do things exist?
Do things exist? What is the answer?
Yes.
Yes. Does self exist? Yes. If it says self does not exist, this is nihilism, it's not Buddhism. Right? What's the second question?
Do things exist objectively?
Do things exist objectively? Then the answer is no. Only when you say no to the second question, then you go in the line of emptiness, the philosophy of the Buddha. Okay. Second paragraph, page 76. Whichever dogma the dogmas, mendicants and the Brahmins hold, believing in objective self, dogma of believing in objective self, hold throughout the world, whether they involve belief in a self, belief in a being, belief in a life. This is all objective self. Belief in the life force, belief in a person, or belief in the ceremonies, and some the traditions. There are so many ceremonies, so many festivities involved. Ceremonies, festivities, such dogmas prone to agitation. The more you hold to such dogmas, the more you are prone to agitation. because it solidifies the self. It solidifies the sense of the self. More you solidify the sense of self, it will multiply the inappropriate attention. More you multiply the inappropriate attention, more the gross afflictions grow. And the very definition of affliction is a mental factor, the presence of which disturbs your mind. Affliction is, how is affliction derived and defined? A mental factor, the presence of which disturbs your mind. More the afflictions grow, more the disturbance arise. And what for you have embraced the traditions? What for? To remove the fears, to remove the agitation. Now this tradition is proliferating your agitation. So it says, such dogmas prone to agitation and dullness are all abandoned at that time when you realize dependent origination well. Fully understood as false, these dogmas are severed at the root, wither like the head of palm tree. Some trees, when you cut from the top, will never grow again. So these wrong dogmas, they sever that through the understanding of dependent origination well, never to arise or cease in the future. So once they don't arise, there is nothing left to cease. Venerable Shariputra, whoever is endowed with such acceptance of the Dharma and thus perfectly understood dependent arising is the prophecy for unaccepted, perfect and complete awakening by the Tathagata. So by understanding such dependent origination in such a way, this person will then see the Dharma in its true form. With the Dharma of the Eightfold Noble Paths, then the person will cleanse the mental defilements and see the Tathagata, will become the full awakened. For unaccepted, perfect and complete awakening, but the Tathagata and Arhat. Arhat meaning somebody who has eradicated the demons, eradicated the devils of the afflictions. And perfectly and completely awakened. Arhats, they are known as, Lower Arhats are known as partial awakening. Nirvana achieved by the Shivaka Buddhas, they are known as partial awakening. Whereas the Buddha's awakening is the full awakening. Completely awakened one, the one with perfect knowledge and conduct, the Sugata, know the world, incomparable charioteer of those who need taming, the teacher of gods and humans, the Bhagavan, the Buddha. In this way, such a person will become a perfect and complete Buddha. This is who we are going to become if we realize dependent origination so well. After the Bodhisattva Master Maitreya had thus spoken, Venerable Shariputra, together with the world of gods, humans, asuras and gandharvas, rejoiced and praised what the Bodhisattva Master Maitreya had taught. This concludes the noble Mahayana Sutra, the rice seedling. Okay. Just as auspicious indication, I will read just few lines from page 63 from the beginning. The noble Mahayana Sutra, the rice seedling, the homage to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Thus have I heard one time the Bhagavan was residing on Vulture, big mountain, in Rajgriha with the last Sangha of 1,250 bhikshus and with a great many Bodhisattva Masters. At that time, when Shariputra went to the place frequented by the Bodhisattva Master Maitreya, and after they exchanged courtesies. Upon meeting each other, they both sat down on a flat rock. Venerable Shariputra then said to Bodhisattva Master Maitreya, Maitreya, here today the Bhagavan, gazing at the rice seedling, spoke this aphorism to the bhikshus. Bhikshus, whoever sees dependent arising, sees the Dharma. Whoever sees the Dharma, sees the Buddha. Okay. So it's not 3:37. We'll stop here. Then the